You can't just waltz in and threaten to find me over a magnolia tree, I snapped right then, right there, blocking Isla's line of sight to my porch. My hand didn't shake, not even as her eyes darted to that old clipboard she clutched like a security blanket, like a badge of power. I'd seen folks hold grudges with less devotion. She kept her voice all crisp and official. Maya Wildflower Estates has landscaping guidelines. Yours is well unusually vigorous. I didn't flinch. You keep rattling off rules, I said, but you never once ask who planted that tree or why. And honestly, that question just hung in the air, heavy as the humidity weighted with everything I'd lost. Isla's pen stopped cold. I leaned closer, low and quiet. You're not going to scare me off my own porch. That magnolia was my husband's. My name's the only one on the deed, and that hand-drawn land survey of his, still sitting in county records plain as day. The cameras, yeah, they're mine too, connected straight to my server. Maybe Wyla should have checked before she decided trespassing was in her job description. But let me back up a second. Sometimes you need to see the whole board before you make your next move. I'm Maya Patel, architect by trade, stubborn by nature, and these days apparently the only soul in Wildflower Estates willing to call out Wyla Gordon's bluff. I didn't buy this house itching for a war. I didn't bury my husband so the best pieces of him could be bulldozed by committee threats and empty paperwork. And I swear if you've survived your own HOA circus, you know exactly what I mean. Most folks see a house and think mortgage walls, lawn. For me, this place is a monument, that magnolia tree out front. It's proof my family belongs here, even when the board called us new blood in their not-so-secret meetings. My husband and Neil planted that sapling in the clay, said it was stubborn just like us. He didn't live to see it flower, but I swore nobody would rip it out, especially not Wyla with her brittle smiles and endless forms. The week after I put a nil in the ground, I got my first violation notice mailbox too high. I fixed it. Then it was the shutter color, not on the approved palette. I left them dark blue, a Neil's favorite. The fines stacked up, but the real fight was never about paint or landscaping. It was about power. And Wyla knew exactly how to wield it. I tried playing nice, attending meetings, bringing homemade brownies, plastering on a smile, through all the lectures on community standards. But the next morning there she was circling the magnolia again, looking like she was plotting her next attack. You're violating setback ordinances, she said, clipboard waving. It's a safety hazard. She tried to tell me I needed to cut it down. No, I said, and this time I made it final. Silence stretched between us. That's when Priya, my daughter pre-law, and sharper than any garden tool, stepped out, phone in hand, eyebrows raised. Want me to live stream this? Mom Priya didn't lower the phone, and Wyla, well, she hated being watched. There's no need for theatrics, Priya. We're just enforcing the rules. Priya shrugged. Because from here it looks like harassment. Wildflower Estates looks mattered more than the truth. Every lawn perfect, every porch spotless. But what you didn't see was the battle scars. Little wars over wind chimes, over a kid's bike, left too long over one stubborn magnolia. I stepped between Wyla and the tree. Write your citations. We're not moving. Not for you, not for anyone. She wrote her notes, but her eyes lingered on the tree, on everything Anil had left behind. I didn't budge till she was halfway down the street, shoes clicking like warning shots. Back inside, Priya's voice was soft. Why is it always us? And for a second, I let my guard down. Because somebody's got to draw the line, I said, fingers on the rough bark. And this is where I draw it, not while I'm standing. Later that morning, bright orange slip wedged under the wiper blade. Improper vehicle alignment. Not a ticket, just a warning, official enough to sour the day. When I walked out, Isla was already hounding Mrs. Ruiz about her garden gnome, apparently offensive decor. That's what she called keeping the peace, shaking down the neighbors one by one. I glanced up, saw Greg Hansen, our treasurer, peeking through the curtains. Quiet type, never voted out loud, never met my eye in the grocery store. Priya joined me, squinting at the warning. Can she do this? She can try, I said, smoothing the slip, seeing Isla's neat teacher handwriting. It wasn't about the car. It was about making sure I knew she was always watching. We spent the rest of the day dodging the feeling of being watched. Even the magnolia's petals seemed to droop under the pressure. I tried to work drafting blueprints, but Anil's old words echoed, "Fight the small battles, win the war." This didn't feel like war. It felt like siege. Knock at the door, Isla, measuring tape in hand, flanked by Mrs. Evans, the secretary. "We need to confirm the grass height," she announced. "I mow every Saturday," I said, not budging an inch. Mrs. Evans' hands were shaking subtle, but I saw it. Isla pretended not to notice. "Just routine." I waved my lawn service receipts. "Want a copy?" Isla almost smiled. "That won't be necessary." They left and my pulse thundered in my ears. Priya, still recording, streamed the whole thing just in case. That's how we fought, building our own record one stream at a time. The battle here wasn't loud, it was slow, steady, meant to wear you down. But we weren't backing off, not for 6 inches of grass, not for anything. The next board meeting came with a new twist. I walked up to the community center, spotted Greg loitering outside, jacket over his arm, looking like he wanted to disappear. Inside, the board lined up like a firing squad. Isla front and center. First on the agenda, repeat violations. "Miss Patel, your mailbox." She dripped with politeness. "We must all adhere to standards." I met her eyes. "And what about fairness? Who decides these rules?" Greg's jaw worked, but he said nothing. Mrs. Ruiz piped up. Her daughter's bike had been towed, no warning. Isla shut her down. Mrs. Evans suggested reviewing the warning process. Isla's smile was razor sharp. "I'll note your concern, Miss Patel. Back to your violations." I lifted my phone. "Just so we're clear, I'm recording for transparency." After the meeting, I caught Greg outside. "Off the record, why do you let her run the show?" He wouldn't look at me. "I just handled the books, Maya. She makes it hard for anyone who crosses her. Be careful." That fear in his voice, I'd heard it from half the neighborhood. I nodded. I'm used to hard. That night I checked every lock twice. I tried to relax, but the house felt restless. Priya was still up, syncing security cameras, eyes fierce. "You think she'll try something?" she asked. "Maybe, but she won't catch us off guard." Just past midnight, porch light flickered. Metallic clatter at the door. My blood ran cold. Through the side light, Isla pink windbreaker ring of keys. I threw open the door. "Looking for something?" She flinched, then faked composure. "Security concern," she said. "You're not law enforcement, Isla. You have no business with that key." Priya was behind me, phone up, streaming. Isla went pale. "You're being unreasonable. You're trespassing," I cut in. "Leave. And if you use that key again, I'll call the police first, HOA second." She hesitated, hands trembling, then left. The next day, thunder rolled in. Power flickered, Wi-Fi dropped. Down in the basement, Priya found a folder, HOA confidential, with old meeting notes and a faded letter, "Greg, don't let them push you." My gut twisted. Greg had been in over his head for years. When we spread the papers out, old receipts, cash payments, unaccounted for, board minutes, edited after the fact, it was clear this went way deeper than one woman with a clipboard. Priya's phone buzzed, "Security alert, just a stray dog this time." By mid-morning, Greg showed up, umbrella dripping. "I heard about last night," he said, nervous. "Is everything safe?" "As safe as it can be with Isla in charge." We pushed the evidence his way. "You don't have to keep letting her run you over," Priya told him. He shook his head. "It's not that simple. They threatened my job, my mortgage." He looked at the magnolia. "Your husband would have raised hell. He'd expect me to do the same," I said. That night, a text from Greg. "Meet me after dark. I have something you need." Priya came back with a flash drive, audio, emails, a video. "Wyla, on tape. I'll use that master key whenever I want. They want their homes. They'll play by my rules." A video. Wyla, younger, slamming checks onto Greg's table. Split this with me, or I'll see you lose that nice house. Priya's face went hard. We have enough. It's not just bullying, it's theft, blackmail. We built our case, gathered neighbors, Mrs. Ruiz, Mrs. Evans, even quiet Mr. Carlson. Secret meetings under the magnolia tree, swapping receipts, photos, deleted emails. I posted one question to the community board. Anyone else have issues with HOA fees or privacy? Message me. The stories flooded in. Fines, threats, Isla's infamous master key. Someone joked we were running a sting operation. Maybe we were. Maybe. The day of the urgent update came. Community center packed, neighbors buzzing. Priya had the live stream set up hidden in her tote, streaming straight to her judge mentor. Isla started with her usual threats, but this time Priya stood up. Let's talk about unauthorized master key use, she said loud enough for the room. Isla froze. That's not on the agenda. It is now. I pulled out the evidence. We've shared this with counsel and law enforcement. Greg stood up. She threatened me. I'm not the only one. Mrs. Evans. Mrs. Ruiz, one by one they spoke up. Priya played the recording, Isla's voice cold as ice. The room exploded. Isla tried to shout over the noise, but security was called for her. The lawyer promised a real investigation. For the first time, Ila's grip was gone. Back home, I watched Priya finally breathe lighter than I'd seen in years. You think it's over? She whispered. Not over, I said, but we changed the story. Greg texted, thank you. I slept for the first time in months. Mrs. Ruiz sent a photo, her daughter riding her bike fearless. The board called an emergency session. Greg, interim president. Mrs. Evans, secretary. Mrs. Ruiz, community events. A real shakeup. They promised an independent audit, new bylaws, and end to unchecked power. For the first time, Wildflower Estates felt honest. At the community cleanup, neighbors laughed. Kids dodged chalk lines drawn around the magnolia. Priya helped repaint mailboxes. That night, we gathered for photos under the tree, faces tired but hopeful. Priya asked, You think Dad would have liked this? I nodded. He'd have loved it, especially the mess. The magnolia stood battered but blooming roots, deep and stubborn. I hung Anil's old gardening hat on a branch, a thank you, a promise. Whatever comes next, we're ready. Sometimes it takes one person saying enough to change the story for everyone. So tell me, have you ever had to fight for your home, your dignity, your family's legacy? Maybe you've stood up to a bully. Maybe you're just dreaming of it. Drop your story, your city, or just a word in the comments. I want to know what's your magnolia.